All right, Sistas fans. Now, this video I know is going to be a bit divisive, but I feel like that's what makes for a good conversation. And even though Sistas, in my opinion, isn't anywhere, it's not even close to how good it was in seasons 1 and 2. And I've said this a few times that both seasons of the show, not counting 3, they were rocky in some places, but they still were overall good until it got to the point where it just became clear that a lot of these characters aren't going to change. And if they do, they're changing for the worse. It's like, some of them are just stuck in their ways, and the storylines have just gotten so stale and repetitive. And, I've questioned a lot of things about it, but I'll talk about that more in another video. But I just wanted to talk about the fact that, I kind of understand where Karen's coming from. In a way, I feel like this video is going to have kind of a generic title, In Karen's Defense, because of the fact that when you look at 3 years of back and forth on and on relationships, or relationship with Zach, it's understandable why Karen's reacting the way she is. I'm not saying that it's not selfish. I'm not saying that it's not wrong, but it's so easy to go at Karen. And trust and believe, I'm probably going to upload another video today, Sisters, where I'm talking bad about Karen. But in this particular one, I just wanted to take a moment, everybody online, everybody, on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, who's just going in on Karen as a character, take a moment and think about the reality of the situation. Now, I've seen some people, in reference to like Zach trying to get Fatima to move in with him and everything. It seems to me that both Zach and Karen deal with things differently, but also the same. It seems like they're kind of both quick to move on. I feel like Zach is the kind of person who, it feels like he wants to run away from how he's feeling about Karen by, hooking up with Fatima. But then you could also say, well, Jeremy, I'll counter that, because look at how Fatima has cultivated Zach, nurtured him from her positive affirmations and, believing in him, and things just kind of blew up from there. And like Zach said, you're like a good luck charm. Ever since I've been with you, things have just been looking up. And with Karen, she definitely just wants to hook up with Aaron. And, back in season 1, it was established that both her and Andy have like little black books, or they're old dependables, basically. They're F-boys. Whenever something's going wrong with their main guy, they got another guy on standby. But I do believe that Andy did say ever since she got with Gary, she stopped calling her guy. But regardless, you could also say, well, Jeremy, what about all the women that, Zach hooked up with, like the chick I forgot her name, but when he was at the airport, the one chick from season 1 who lied about being pregnant when Zach looked like, hey, what we had was a one and done thing, and I'm going back to my ex-girlfriend. So everybody's foul in this, just to put it out there. But when you look at it from Karen's perspective, there are two arguments to be made. Is Karen really only trying to still get with Zach because... Sorry, there's airplanes flying over today. Is Karen only trying to get back with Zach because now he's blown... he's leveled up. He has money. He has a car. Nice clothes. Just bought his own house. And the fact that she's stumbling onto hard times herself or her salon. So... is that one of the only reasons that she's trying to get back with Zach? But I do think that there is evidence to suggest that it isn't about that. I don't want to say at all, but a lot of people are saying, what about in season 2, when you said you're choosing Aaron over Zach and this and that? Well, when those two hooked up in the salon towards the end of season 2, that was just passion. But you could also argue that one of the main reasons Karen got it on with Zach was because Well, let's be honest here. Kind of like Sam on the Oval, because Sam's wife Priscilla wasn't having sex with him. He was easy pickings for the first lady. So in the same way, the fact that Aaron was all about celibacy and whatnot meant that Karen was just horny as hell. And then you had your ex, who you have 3 years of history with, walk back in and he's pleading with you to believe him because you had him arrested. You faltered in that moment of passion. And I remember correcting myself when I did a video a while back, and I said I rewatched the scene. Zach was the one that made the first move on her. And then, it was like that first kiss, and he's like, come on. And then they just got it on. It was wild after that. So I feel like it would be kind of easier to determine Karen's true motivations about Zach if we only knew what would have happened if, let's say, and I'm not blaming Aaron, Priscilla, hey, Priscilla gave Sam some, this never would have happened. I'm saying, what if Aaron and Karen had sex before, maybe the night before Zach came over, and then him and Karen did it in the salon, So it would have been one of those situations where Karen wouldn't have been thinking with horniness, but clarity. So I think that if you look back at season 2, when she got, what was it? She put out the warrant for Zach's arrest for the whole credit card thing. It goes back to what the saying is, that hurt people hurt people. I'm not saying Karen is justified in doing what she's doing, because Sabrina said, hey, I'll talk to this person I know at another bank. Give me about 1 or 2 days. She'll look into it to see whether or not Zach is the real person who used the credit card. And Karen, and if I remember correctly, it seemed like the only reason she got Zach, arrested was because it was either Aaron or one of the girls that said something, basically kind of saying, oh man, you're still feeling Zach. So it felt like Karen only did it out of spite to kind of prove, well, if I was really still into Zach, would I do this? Would I go down to the police station and have him arrested? So I know people talk about, Zach gave her an STD and Zach was a dog in season 1. I'm not saying that he wasn't, but in my opinion, I think that the moment Zach did something which he honestly, by law, wasn't obligated to do, which was pay Karen back $77,000. Remember, it was first $5,000 in cash and then the $72,000 check. He didn't have to do that. But he did it anyway. And at that point, I remember, what was it? Was it the mid-season of season 3? As soon as she accepted that check and he turned around to walk away, and then she's like, where are you going? I was like, no, Karen. At that point, it's over and done with. You surrendered your quote-unquote right to have any knowledge or, of Zach's whereabouts. He's paid you off. And it's almost as if you want Zach in a position where he kind of owes you something, just so you have a tether to him. Almost like, if you watch Pokemon, the first few seasons where Misty always followed Ash around because, oh, you owe me a new bike because Pikachu fried mine in episode 1. So I'm going to follow you until you pay me back. But as soon as the bike was returned to her at the end of season, what was it, Johto series? Well, she had to go back home anyway to run a Pokemon gym. But what about that movie Fences? I feel like that's a better example, when Denzel Washington's character, his oldest son, who was like a bum, always asking for money all the time, finally got money just because his wife or girlfriend got a hospital job as a nurse and was making money. And he offered to give the money back to his dad, but he turned it down. No, you keep that money. That way you can save it up. So when next paycheck comes around, you're not going to come around me asking for money. But it's like, no. The only reason you don't want to accept this money is because you'll always have something to say, oh, I did this for you and you owe me. No. So I feel like Karen probably is just used to the 3-year turnaround with Zach. I feel like she can't accept the fact that Zach has moved on. Not only that, it's the fact that I don't think she'll ever fully be committed to Aaron, not just because of the fact that she has a quote-unquote 3-year history, 3-year relationship with Zach. And I feel the same way about Zach and Fatima. 3 years is a long time. And some people cope better than others. Like, for example, me, like, there have been plenty of non-relationships I've had, but girls I've had connections with, it's 2021. Some of these people are back from like college years and whatnot, some of which I haven't talked to in over a decade, but they moved on. They have families, they have kids now, and I'm still scoring, picking up the pieces from certain things where I was either rejected or, friend zone or whatever the case may be. And while it doesn't feel fair when I look at it from my perspective, because like, how dare you find happiness while I'm still single or I'm still hurt by something you did? Some people cope better than others. And I feel like Karen's always going to feel scorned because she's always going to feel like I've been missing out. Zach was a diamond in the rough. If I were patient, I will say, we don't know the full history about Zach and Karen. It was 3 years. We only know what we've seen during the first 2.5 seasons of this show, what's been mentioned, but it just seems like what she told Aaron, a few episodes ago about the whole thing. Zach and you are so similar. Sure, I mean, Zach is different and whatnot, but you both started out as really nice guys. But as you got comfortable, pretty much as you, quote unquote, you secured the relationship with Zach, who was being my boyfriend. With you want to be my husband. That's when your true colors started to come out, and I'm not ready to get to that level with you because of what I've done, what I went through with Zach. So for me, I feel like Karen I can kind of relate to this. You contact somebody after they moved on because you want closure, but it's hard to accept that sometimes the only closure you get is picking yourself up, dusting yourself off, and moving on. Because if the other person's moved on, you're just going to look pathetic, desperate, and thirsty. But what can you do? I think that Aaron is probably, honestly, I think Aaron looks more desperate than Karen when you really think about it, because this guy is just so determined to prove he's better than Zach. But it's like, how are you going to compete with 3 years of history? Not to mention the fact that, the whole STD thing and whatnot. But Aaron, your ex-wife's family has threatened and tried to kill Karen multiple times. So I'm just shocked that's never really come up that much. And not to mention, Aaron, your ex-wife, who you divorced on the spot to fully date Karen, is dead, and you're just ready to jump into another marriage. It's kind of weird because him and Zach are kind of alike. With Zach jumping to a full, he wants to jump into a full committed relationship with Fatima, and Aaron just wants to up and get married. So when I look at Karen as a whole, it was like a 3-year cycle, rinse and repeat, kind of like with Andy and Gary, and the fact that she does love drama. We fight, we break up. There are some entanglements along the way. I'm sorry, with the whole Will and Jada being in the news again. How can I not use that word? And then you get back together, and then it's the same old stuff. I mean, in the salon after he gave her the check, and he's like, is there anything on your mind? Is there anything you want to say? Well, part of me wants to say, come back to my apartment. We can try to work things out. But I think we both know nothing's really going to change. Like, it's going to be good for maybe 1 or 2 days, but then we'll be arguing about something, because even Zach stated, you see my car out there, but yeah, I know I made that money, but I know if we were still together, you'd be like, Zach, don't be spending money like that. And she's like, yeah, you're right, but it's not my place to say that anymore, because you're on your own doing your own thing. So that right there shows me that even if Zach had $5 million, Karen would still be a stickler of, why are you wasting money on Zach? Why are you? It's not going to change. It's not going to change. And let's be real here. As much as some people want to downplay Zatima, and when I say Zatima, I mean Fatima and Zach. I didn't say Zatima by mistake. A lot of people say all they do is have sex. That's all they got. You could argue the same about Karen and Zach. I mean, sure, Karen has that. I mean, Zach has that love of Karen holding him down. Remember, he even said, even though it always made me feel like shit, I just was inspired because you would always get up every day working towards your dream, which was to own a salon, while I'm not doing much of nothing. So that always made me feel down. So I'm not saying there wasn't a time where Karen was Fatima, the person holding Zach down, giving him positive, encouragement and whatnot. But it was Zach that kind of took advantage of that. It's almost as if Zach didn't believe what Karen was telling him at that time. I do feel like Karen was the Fatima in Zach's life. Zach has confirmed that multiple times, even when he first met Fatima and Fatima invited him to her apartment. He was like sitting far away and, wary of it, accepting her invitation to sleep in the guest room because they slept in the same room the first night, because of the fact that, look, this started just like how I did with my ex-girlfriend. Everything was cool, but then it got crazy. Same thing with Karen talking to Aaron. It's like, hey, me and Zach, everything was good, but then he started showing his true colors. So I think that Zach and Karen have been together for so long that it makes both of them hesitant to pursue something new. It's like, for example, imagine a couple that got married, let's say late 90s or, let's say late 90s to like 2007. And then they got a divorce in 2008. Oh, actually, hang on. Let me use a better example. Let's say a couple that got married in 2007 got divorced in 2021. The dating pool and the methods of finding quote unquote love are extremely different than how it was back in like the late 2000s. It's 2021. Between the hookup culture, all the different apps and whatnot, and then the pandemic changing a lot of dynamics and stuff like that, it's difficult to put yourself back out there. But I feel like in Zach's case, he realized Fatima is a good one and locked it down. But in Karen's place, let's be honest here now. Aaron was always second place. Aaron came into Karen's life at the wrong time because it was in the midst of her constant back and forth with Zach. So Aaron was always the rebound, but now he's trying to take the main babe position, I believe is the correct terminology if you want to use that term right now. Seriously, he's trying to lock it down, secure it, and be Karen's main man without fully comprehending the fact that Aaron is the Will Smith and Zach is Tupac and Karen is Jada. I feel like that's the best example. Seriously, I feel like Karen feels like she's the one that's missing out. I mean, all these years, Andy would have her back telling her this. That's why she feels betrayed. That, how come you not tell me about Fatima and Zach? You're the one who tried to get Fatima to be in the friend group, and now you're not telling me what's going on because I'm your best friend. If there was something important to tell me, you would tell me. Right, Andy? Right, Andy? And I get it. Sometimes you want people to blindly validate your feelings. And when when Preston called Danny and Sabrina said, no, I'm not going to dinner with Calvin. And then Andy's like, I'm going to go back and talk with Gary. Well, I'm going to call Zach. Anybody got a problem with that? No, I mean, it's your choice, but do you really think he would answer? So there's that. So let me just say this much. In Karen's defense, I understand her feeling the way that she does, but I really don't think it's a good idea to, call on Zach over and over again, given the fact that, well, it's clear that he's moved on. I mean, for people who bring up, well, what about Zach in, season 2 when Karen, what was it? Yeah, it was early season 2 when the girls were back at Sabrina's place, I think. Was it Sabrina's? I forgot. This was after Andy had to walk back from the house that Gary drove her out to, but then got to drive back by the feds. And, Sabrina got pissed because her boss was suspending her due to the whole transfer of Andy's account, yada, yada, yada. So then Zach came over, Zach and Aaron, and pretty much in front of all the girls, Karen chose Aaron and left Zach out in the cold. Then Fatima dropped him off at the hotel. He broke into the room and then got arrested. After that, he's pretty much, you know what? I gotta move on. It sucks, but I gotta move on because, well, she chose that dude over me. And at that point, that's when him and Fatima started, doing their thing. But I just feel like at this point, Karen needs to realize Zach is happy. I mean, Zach eventually realized that Karen's quote unquote has moved on without him. And that's why he chose to pursue Fatima. And now you got Karen, who just fails to comprehend that Zach, I mean, that's it. He's done. Because think of it this way. You had him locked up under false charges, like he shut her down on the phone when she invited him to dinner. Yeah, I'm the dude that just steals credit cards, right? Yeah, I guess that's water under the bridge now. I'm done. So, leave him alone. So, again, I really wish Miss Lisa would come into the series again. You know, Karen's mother. Hell, even as much as a voiceover phone call would be easy to do, I would love to see Karen's mother come back. You know, I'm not saying she would have to be a Miss Ella, you know, where from House of Pain, where it seems like she's trying to hook up Calvin and Miranda again. But I feel like she should have a sit down and not try to get these two back together. And I'm not saying that Miss Lisa, Karen, and Zach need to be in the same room. It would be cool if Miss Lisa just talked to the both of them, you know. I think Miss Lisa should come up and talk with Zach to say, hey, you know, I think Chris is the name of her boyfriend, aka the guy that runs Chain Breakers and got Zach into the program. It would be interesting if Miss Lisa called Zach or met with him. It's like, hey, what's going on? Chain Breakers, everything was going well, but I hear you quit. And then she learned about Zach's come up, and then, you know, is proud that Zach had a come up and he got inspired by Chain Breakers to start his own Chain Breakers, you know, where he's renting out townhouses and renovating places and whatnot to do his own thing to get income, and then talk and then maybe ask about Karen, but it's like, no, we're not together anymore. I found somebody else. It's like, oh, okay. And then she talks with Karen and she has a real mother-daughter talk to pretty much say, well, you know what? I mean, that's what happens. Sometimes you miss out because you let go of a good thing. And I'm not saying you and Zach didn't have your ups and downs, but sometimes another person is able to bring out something in someone that you aren't, and you just have to accept that. And we know that she doesn't really think too highly of Aaron. Not to mention, I wonder what Karen's mother would have to say about Aaron proposing to Karen right there. So it would be very interesting to have Miss Lisa come into the show again, just to talk some sense into her daughter, and then have Karen move on from there. It will be a great character moment, because I know a lot of people are anticipating the whole Karen being pregnant thing, but I think it would really be more interesting to have Karen get true wisdom from her mom, and then what she does with that information and intel will determine what fans will think of her character moving forward. But that's all I have for this particular video. Trust and believe, yeah, this was a pretty lengthy one, but like I said, as much as Sistas seems to drag on at times, that doesn't mean that we aren't able to get complex and realistic discussion when we're talking about these fictional characters. But yeah, just kudos to the actors, you know, doing their thing, from Ebony, Crystal, and DeVal. They're all, and Kevin for, you know, playing Aaron. They're all doing their thing, and I'm kind of intrigued to see where things will go within the next, not even the next season, but just the next couple of episodes. Maybe I'll do a video about Zach and Karen going to dinner. So with that being said, make sure you take a moment to hit the like button and hit subscribe. Hit the bell icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content on the channel. We're closing in on November, and even though we didn't get to 50% like I had hoped by the end of October, numbers are going up day by day, and I couldn't be happier. Just remember, with the name change, you will no longer receive notifications from the Haves and Have-Nots review. It's going to be Our Kind of Entertainment uploaded a new video, so be on the lookout for that. Also, if you want to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App. Not mandatory, but appreciated. And with that being said, I hope everybody has a fun and safe Halloween weekend if you have plans. And let me know, are there any other kind of discussion style videos you want me to do on Sistas before the next episode?